Hi, Leo Albanes here with Charlotte County Properties. Today we're in Punta Gorda Isles. We're taking a look at this home we recently have under contract. It's in its home inspection stage. Today's video is going to encompass what we see in these home inspections, what the inspector goes through, checking out your home, make sure that it's set and ready to go. It's going to tell you the conditions of the home, just like you would take if you were buying a car and you would take it to a mechanic, make sure that it's mechanically running fine. We're doing the same thing with the home. We hire the inspector. He's a professional, knows what to look for. He's going to go through the house, check the plumbing, check the AC. If it has a pool, he'll at least check the equipment, make sure that it's running, check the electrical, and basically go through a checklist of items that needs to be looked at and then later addressed if need be. So stick with me. We're going to go inside and walk through the home and show you the home inspector at work and seeing what he finds. Please subscribe to the channel, see what we got coming up next week. If you have any suggestions or any comments, feel free to write me a comment. Till then, this is Leo Albanes saying we'll see you on the next video. Let's go take a tour of this home. Home inspections of Southwest Florida. We have Reece Welch and we have Bernie, his assistant, helping us out with this home tour. They're going to go around, they've finished their inspection for the day, and now they're going to go around and show us what they've discovered on this home. All right, so you saw the home inspector climb up the ladder here. We're going to go up and see what he checks out up in the attic. I believe the air conditioner's up there. Yeah.
What we're doing is actually the UMVI Uniform Mitigation Verification Inspection is strictly designed to give discounts to homeowners for their homes meeting certain wind resistant requirements. The form is very specific, and they want to know the length of the nails that attach the decking of the roof. So we have to verify that by finding a nail that has missed a truss and measuring the length to show that for proof. On the new form, the OIR, Office of Insurance Regulation, defined what a clip is. They require it to have a minimum of 3 nails. This home has 3 nails per clip. The clip on this home is a strap that's poured into the block, comes up and nails to the side of the truss. We have to be very specific again on what we do, and we have to show a picture of 3 nails per clip.
Okay, so Bernie's going to explain to us what one of the things that they check on the roofs here.
I'm looking at this particular one, stone groove. I'm looking to make sure that I have a nail on each side that will meet the requirements to get discount on your wind mitigation for the hurricane insurance. Then I'll put the information, take a picture, and we'll include that on your insurance reports.
So there you have it. Well, one of the steps that they do take when doing this home inspection, making sure that your roof is adequate so that you can get some discounts. Okay, so that was one issue. The next issue that we have with this house is a settlement problem. Through the years, the ground has given way a little bit and there's some stress cracks on the foundation, but I am not the expert. I'm going to let Reece explain that to you.
So when we look at this condition, we initially noticed cracking. So this home is on a stem wall, which means certain sections of it were poured, of the foundation were poured at different times. That alone is not too much of a concern. But then when we come in here to the garage, we can see, and this is a wood frame wall, so we see that other cracks, and then up at the top of the lintel have been noted, and even a little bit on the corner of the slab. So the aggregate of this concern indicates that some settlement has occurred. What we're going to recommend on the report is that this be further evaluated by a structural professional such as an engineer to help determine the need for repair or reinforcement. At a minimum, if the buyer were not to do that, the second recommendation is that they mark with tape or a marker all of the cracks and monitor those for growth. And if they start to shift or expand, then that indicates that the problem is still occurring.
There was also another section out back. I know I've jumped into it, but while we're talking about this, if you can explain that.
So this slab was poured at a different time than the garage. And evidence indicates that this did not have an adequate foundation.
Okay, so here is another common problem that we basically find in about 95% of the homes that we inspect. This here, while to some people may think it's termite, it's actually not. It's basically wood decaying. What happens with most of these garage doors is that there's no overhang over it. So when it rains, water does get on here, but with this door always being closed and not open that often, water stays trapped in here. Other thing is they didn't paint it. As you can see, this is exposed wood, so that there's no real way of keeping that water away from that wood. So the wood absorbs the water, it gets wet, it stays damp, and through time it starts to deteriorate, as you can see. And always at the bottom it starts, and sometimes it creeps its way up. So just to make another note, I bet you if you check your house, guarantee 95% of you are going to have a little bit of wood decaying issues here on your garage door. So we're going to talk about now the hot water heater. Reece?
Okay, so on this water heater, it's a newer heater installed in 2009. We like to see a drain pan underneath it. However, because if this were to leak, it would not damage the dwelling. It's not necessary according to the building code. A couple issues that we see with this water heater. One is this service entry cable does not have a clamp on it to prevent this from abrading on the metal. Also, this could be pulled and these connections could come loose. So this needs a clamp on it, which is a pretty simple fix, but without that, this could develop a potential arc and catch on fire or electrocute someone. Also, this is the TPR, or the thermal pressure relief valve. If the heating elements were to foul out and build up too much pressure, this is designed to release the pressure prior to this blowing up. This needs to flow, this discharge pipe needs to flow with gravity. And currently it does not. You can see that if this were to release, water pressure would go in here. So you would have pressure pushing back on this, and again, that could allow this tank to explode. So Leo, what we find a lot of times when water heaters have been replaced, originally they have a different shape or size.
Probably taller.
Taller, right. You can get water heaters with the same gallon size, different shapes, tall, skinny, short, fat. So this particular one prior had a TPR valve that discharged at this height.
Correct.
When it was replaced, for simplicity, probably without a permit, the installer just plumbed it, as you can see here, for the TPR valve.
So again, these are some of the things that you'll want to watch out for. I'm definitely going to let the buyer know and the seller that this isn't really to code and that this is going to have to be addressed.
Okay, so this is called a GEC, or grounding electrode conductor. And ideally, you should have 25 ohms when it's tested. However, that's beyond the scope of our inspection to actually measure the ohms that it is grounding. This rod is corroded at ground level. Seldom do we see this, but we do. It's not that common. That is definitely going to decrease the grounding ability of the rod. So the recommendation is going to be to actually replace this rod and possibly install 2 ground rods, which is the current standard, to have 2 ground rods a minimum. I think 6 or 8 feet in the ground, 6 foot apart. 6 foot apart. 6 foot in the ground. Yeah.
8, 6.
8 in the ground, 6 foot apart, for proper grounding. So this should be replaced.
So we're here back with this pool heater issue. We have tried to reset it several times, and apparently it is not working. Again, good thing that we checked it. The pool was installed in 2015, so there shouldn't be a reason why it's not working, but why we have the home inspections, we want to make sure that the homeowner is fully aware that number one, his pool isn't working, and we don't want the buyer to get stuck with it. The other thing I want to mention is, while we're here, this happens to be a saltwater pool. If you ever go to a home and you see this type of apparatus, this is the cell that generates the power, and the chemicals go through this cell. As it does that, the salt water acts like a it produces a chemical that acts like chlorine to kill the algae in the pool. So basically, in your saltwater setups, you'll always see one of these cells on the wall for the electricity, and then the, juicing this cell that takes care of the algae in the water. One thing I did want to point out is that you really never want to have any trees near or touching any part of your roof. This is really not good. This is where bugs and stuff like that can get onto your roof and into your attic. So you're going to want to make sure, if you're selling your home or potentially looking to buy one, that you don't have a lot of this. This tree, in my opinion, is a little too close to the house. It should be taken out. We have one more tree that we want to point out to you and the reasons why. Let's go look at those.
This particular tree has a root system that could potentially cause damage to the foundation of the home. Root systems typically go out on trees at least as far as the branches, and we can see that this tree at some point has been against the house actually. So this tree needs to be removed, and these roots need to be cut out to help prevent future damage to the slab. We can see some cracking here in the wall. I don't think that's indicative of anything of pressure put on it currently. However, it will continue to get worse if nothing is done. And once this is taken out, it probably will need to have compacted soil backfilled in there.
Great. Well, there you go. One of the many reasons why you really don't want a big tree next to your house.
So this evidence indicates that this is older range hood, possibly original to the home, and underneath the fan has been removed. This is the only means of venting odor, cooking odors, and also grease from the home. And it's important that a kitchen has a hood to ventilate odors and grease. So the recommendation for this is going to be for it to be repaired. However, these aren't very expensive, and replacement will likely occur.
Also wanted to mention the tip on the...
Yes. So this stove also does not have an anti-tip bracket. And while you may think that that's not very important, Consumer Safety Commission has done studies, and there's a picture on here that shows the stove tipping, and then this is the anti-tip bracket that comes with every range. And what can happen is, especially when there's a microwave above the range, children and elderly can climb up on this and it tip over, and people die every year from that occurring.
Okay, so what I wanted to, not a defect, but I did want to point out to you some of these newer cages. As you can see, the span here is great. Normally, you would have a pole about every 6 feet hindering your view. This way, this big header up here allows you the weight so that you can expand this thing and have this beautiful view of your waterfront property. As I mentioned before, normally you would get these two. Every 6 feet, you would get a pillar. With this type of setup, you have a beautiful view of your waterfront property. Just a mental note. Okay, so here's another problem or issue that we want to at least point out to you, so that when you're looking at homes, it's something that you may want to consider. Reece has discovered that the attachment from this roof to the fascia of the house is not proper. I'm not the expert again. I'm going to let him explain it. Reece?
Hi. Our inspector Bernie noticed that this is the box header, and this box header has this piece of angle behind it for a space, and he noticed that it's not adequately anchored. We have one screw right here that we noted, and other than that, we really don't see any fasteners at this opening. Additionally, behind the fascia board, we see that it's cracked all along there. Typically, this box header is required to have screws every 6 inches staggered up and down all the way across. This is the only thing holding it in to the wall on this side, because there are no posts on this side. Commonly, we can walk on these. I'm confident that if these were to be walked on, they may not support the weight that they're designed to support when properly installed. So, additionally, we can see leaks, evidence of leaking along there as well. Now, our recommendation on this is going to be for further evaluation, and we don't normally like to recommend further evaluation because it's not a solution. However, more destructive investigation will be required to determine what will be needed to correct this.
So you see, again, to the common eye, I would have never noticed this. To me, this looked fine. I'm not the professional. This is why we hire the home inspectors to come in and evaluate this stuff. Not only is Reece a certified home inspector, he's also a certified roofing contractor. So combining his knowledge with roofs and the way homes are construction is a huge asset. Do you have anything else to say, Reece? Contact Southwest Florida Home Inspectors. This guy's the best.
863-494-1560.
And there you go.